'Tis the season, of course. We are all looking at what our Christmas table might look like, what foods we're enjoying this holiday season. You're going to cook up a storm. I just know it.
Not. My girlfriend said her turkey was, I think, $75 or $80. Everything is so much more. I showed you my $4 oranges earlier in the show. Yeah, I mean, food has been a top story all throughout 2022, and I suspect it will be in 2023. So our next guest is known as the food professor. Sylvain Charlebois is a food distribution expert at Dalhousie, and we pulled him in off the ski hill where he was out enjoying time with his kids. Sylvain, thank you so much for joining us again.
Well, my pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Now, I know that you have just written an article about the top food stories for 2022, and you probably had tons to choose from. But this issue of inflation, because we have seen that food inflation is outpacing overall inflation at, what was it, like 11.4% up year over year. This is crazy. This has got to be one of the top stories of the year.
It is the number two story of the year. Number one was Ukraine. I think it was really an easy pick. The entire world was impacted by Ukraine. Our food in Canada was impacted by Ukraine. Farmers, processors, everyone was impacted. So that was an easy pick. But number two is inflation. I mean, everyone's been talking about food inflation for a while now, just because we've been sticker shocked at the grocery store for so long. And what is really unusual this time of year is that the margin, the difference between the general inflation rate and the food inflation rate is actually quite significant. It hasn't been over 3.5% since January 2015. So while the inflation rate is dropping overall, we're seeing another story at the grocery store, and that's why a lot of people are still concerned about food prices.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you do a sweep through the grocery store, as you do week in, week out. Families get their necessities, and the level of sticker shock that comes at the checkout is so remarkable. Sylvain, how does this correct, or does it correct itself? Are we heading toward a new normal when it comes to the cost of food?
I think 2022 actually created benchmarks, to be honest. Everything is different. Everything feels different across the supply chains.
Yeah.
Salaries have gone up. I mean, when you think about manufacturing food, everything is costing more: packaging, wages, energy, everything. A lot of people think, well, prices will eventually drop. Not necessarily. We are expecting in 2023 two scenarios. The first half will look a lot like 2022, but the second half, because of the economic downturn that we're expecting, frankly, it's actually going to give us a break. We are expecting the food inflation rate to drop significantly after the spring. So again, a few more months of choppiness, if you will, but after that, things should calm down.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. There's been so many things this year. It's hard to know what to leave in, what to leave out for the show. One of the things that's in the news right now here in BC, and I guess right around the country, is avian flu. We've seen a bunch of dead crows here recently in Metro Vancouver. Yep. They're wondering if that is avian flu. That's on your top 10 list as well.
Yeah, actually, it was number 10, likely one of the most underreported news stories, to be honest. It's there. Now, we've had a first wave in the eastern part of the country, but right now you guys are hit really hard, and that's why we're expecting poultry prices to go up significantly in Alberta and BC in particular, and of course eggs. You may have noticed eggs are really more expensive than just a year ago. On average in BC, we're expecting eggs to actually be maybe 15 to 20% more expensive than last year. And for the bird itself, turkey, for Christmas, there are going to be some shortages in your area, I believe, because there's been so many birds that were called as a result of the outbreak. I honestly think that BC in general, farmers and the CFI, they're all doing a good job. Than say in 2004 in Abbotsford. If you remember, we had to call 17 million birds in the valley at the time. We're not there yet, but still, we're going to be hit at the grocery store as a result.
You mentioned the valley. Fraser Valley has been hit so hard in the agricultural sector, whether it's heat dome or the floods or now the avian
Yep.
flu. It just feels like one after another after another. What are some other issues that we might have to sort of brace ourselves for looking ahead to 2023?
Well, I mean, let's talk about climate change just for a bit. You saw in November what happened to lettuce, right?
Yeah.
BC buys a lot from California, and California is drying up.
Yeah.
And so I think November was a bit of a wake-up call for with leafy greens and seeing shortages all over the place. I actually think that provinces like BC and other provinces will start thinking, well, maybe we should start growing some of our own stuff, and perhaps we should buy leafy greens somewhere else because, like I said, California is drying up. So now we're being saved by Arizona and Mexico. We're getting our leafy greens for Christmas. But again, you got to look at the model. We got to look at what the options are out there when you think about the fall and when we import food from elsewhere.
Yeah, that sustainability piece.
One last question before I let you go. Are there going to be any interesting sort of food products available for 2023? I think that people are talking about like fake chicken now.
Yeah, actually, you're keeping up with the news down in the U.S. Yeah, the FDA approved lab-grown chicken. Yummy.
I love that for a fact.
Exactly. And so the USDA has to approve it, but we're probably months away from seeing lab-grown chicken being legally sold in the United States. What's going to happen in Canada? We don't know, but it's a story we're watching very closely. Obviously, it's going to be pretty. We don't know how consumers are going to react. Like this is cultivated chicken, but with cultivated chicken, bye-bye avian flu, bye-bye salmonella, bye-bye E. coli. So lots to think about.
I'm game.
Sylvain Charlebois, thank you so much and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you guys too.
Enjoy your fondue. Bon appetit.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sylvain is known as the food professor. He's a food distribution expert at Dalhousie. I don't like the idea of lab-cultured chicken.
I'm starting to bend towards the things that might really shift
Well,
the
climate
supply and
change,
demand piece. I'm open to it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, though. Coming up next on Steel and Vance, guess what? COVID, not done, not going anywhere yet. The virus is surging in China right now. They're running out of room for all the bodies. Are we in for another year of COVID fear and polarization? Talking about that next.